What's up, homies? Let's talk about should you buy a motorcycle? I probably talked about this before, but I'm just gonna say my favorite angle on it is not to spend a lot of money if you wanna ride. If you wanna ride, you wanna ride. It's just a motorcycle is two wheels and a throttle. It's real expensive for some people, and I'm just like, that's just a bicycle with a motor on it, right? And they'll spend 6,000, sometimes double that, 12,000, sometimes even more than that. And I'm just like, no, I wouldn't even go into the 1,000 range because I'm a cheapskate. Personally, like, I could remember offering people money for motorcycles when I was 18 years old. I wanted a motorcycle and I offered somebody $1,000 for a 1986 Kawasaki Ninja. And this bike was in parts. The guy tipped it over. I was willing to put it back together and shit. And he wanted $1,100. And I was like, no, you're not going to get it. $1,000, I have it in cash right now, and he didn't take it. And over the years, it went like that. I noticed people are at this silly $1,000 mark. People's motorcycles ain't worth $1,000 most of the time. Like, most of the time. Let's be honest. There's been a bazillion motorcycles made. So, after you go below 1980 and shit, don't start paying more than $1,000 for a motorcycle. That's old technology. And hardly any of it's going to be reliable. I mean, motorcycles are reliable to most of an extent with the motor wise, but you don't want to go too far back in the 80s because the suspension is going to start getting older and older and less safe. Okay, they develop this shit over time, so you kind of want to go into newer times, but after certain years, the bikes kind of reach their peak. I would say sport bikes got fully proficient around 1994 to 1996. Enduros have not really been changed since 1984. That's just like a dirt bike, you know what I mean? Like, they have been changed, like, but the parts can still be interchanged on a 1984, and you can upgrade your 1984 Enduro with more modern parts. And I'm just saying, you could go pretty far back in the dirt bike game and still have something that's relevant, because the designs of Enduros have legally not changed for at least the last 15 years. And that's due to smog emissions. Like, you can't change the model on without having to deal with the newer smog emissions. It's complicated, but Enduros are a good way to start motorcycle riding because it's an on-road, off-road motorcycle, and they do handle pretty good on-road. Kind of like more easy to ride than like a big, heavy sport bike on the street, which is kind of intimidating and powerful for people to grab hold of. So I would save the sport bike for maybe a secondary bike, like once you start getting really good and you want to race or something, because those aren't handling that good on the street. I'm not going to point out any brands, but I'm just going to say, like, newer motorcycles are more reliable, and older motorcycles require more maintenance. But just because you get a new motorcycle doesn't mean you don't have to maintain it. A motorcycle's way different than a car. You have to adjust the chain, you have to change the tires all the time, keep your suspension up, your levers and all of that is critical when your life is on the line. So maintaining a bike up to the proper specs is critical, whether you have an old bike or a new bike. So a lot of times you buy an old bike off a guy and he's kept it up to spec. He's like, yeah, I've adjusted the valves and I kept the tires up and I just checked the brakes and the brake fluid's good and this and that. And then This will be a bunch of stuff you won't even know about when you're first buying a motorcycle. And you're like, ask that guy how he did all that shit, or be like, yeah, what's up with that? And he'll tell you about it because it was his and he doesn't want you to fuck it up. Talk to an old man about motorcycle riding before you act like you know. Buy his old bike, let him pass it down to you, and be like, how do you ride? How do I adjust the carb? How do I adjust this and that? And they'll be like, okay, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and then they'll just help you out. That's how motorcycle riders really are. They want to help you. They don't want you to fall on the ground. And they're out there. Trust me, there's people that will help you out. It's really a connection with other riders that's going to help you out. And they can point you in the right direction of like what you need. You don't need a $13,000 bike.